My name is Ann Stork, and I am here to introduce you to the North Andover Farm Legacy Project with the North Andover Historical Society. We have started to collect and to preserve the history and memories of the farm families in town, to archive all that information, to share it with the future generations of the town. A past history that has a rich history to it which is quickly disappearing. I'm here today with Michael Smolak to talk to you and to share with you some of the information that we have about our project.
I'm Mike Smolak, and one thing I can say about myself is that I have not lived here my whole life yet, which means I still have a few years to go. But one of the things that's so very, very important about this project is our farmland is disappearing at an absolutely rapid rate right now, and sadly so. And in North Andover, we don't have that many left. But what we do have is an incredibly rich history of agriculture in this town. And just to give you a little bit of teasers about it, we have the oldest continually run family farm in the whole country, in the whole United States of America, in North Andover right now, Barker Farm. We also have a history of witchcraft in North Andover, which is just incredible, the stories from that. And also, I recently found out that one of George Barker's relatives carried Captain Ben Farnham off of Bunker Hill, saving his life way back when, during the Battle of Bunker Hill. So it's agriculture, but agriculture is a combination of different things. It's not just growing things, it's family, it's bringing up people, it's a rich, rich history. The history of agriculture is a history of this country. Now, for myself, I came back here in 1974 and started taking over the family farm. And I'm not sure whether I took it over or whether it took me over, but in any case, here I am. And it's a difficult life. It's by virtue of the fact that you see so few of these farms left around here. That should tell you something. It's economics, it's local activity, and being involved with your family farms. And we are so indebted to those people who are here, who have helped us stay here. Because without our customers, without our client base, we wouldn't be here, none of us.
Can you share with us an early memory that you have of your family farm, growing up there with your grandparents and parents?
You know, it's funny. Growing up in my household was like growing up with the Waldens. There were 2 grandparents, 2 parents, 5 children, 1 bathroom, and that was it. And the thing that was interesting for us, at the end of the night, just like the Waltons, everyone would say goodnight to each other. But unlike in English, it was all said in Polish, because that's one side of my background. So when the lights went out, everybody would say goodnight to each other in Polish. And I thought, wow, it never occurred to me until a few years ago. But our story, the story of my family, is a story of so many families in this country who immigrated from Europe and other places, and who made their life here, who came here for a better life, and have survived and thrived here. And I think it's incredible. I'm very, very happy I'm here so far.
My grandparents also immigrated from Europe, from England, and they had a history of both farming and working in the manufacturing textile industry. Mm-hmm. So when they came to settle initially in Lawrence, mm-hmm. they were able to work in the mills until they could find a farm mm-hmm. to settle in a few years later. Mm-hmm. And so the Stork family all worked in farms, on the farm rather, and in the local mills. And that history is also interwoven into the town of North Andover.
Well, so many of the people that came here came over for the work in the mills, and same with all four sets of my grandparents. They all came here because the streets were paved with gold, and they were going to get ahead, and all that kind of stuff. But it's kind of interesting to see where we've ended up.
And also, I think that it was very common, as my grandparents did, that they had a couple of cows, a couple of horses, 20 or 30 chickens, and they grew all their own vegetables, and they had all their own food. They were actually totally self-sufficient for many years.
And this is pretty typical of farms of that era and that generation. They really were self-sufficient, and our farm, for example, and this name may not mean much to people around here anymore, but the Glenny Dairy started on our farm, and I have a whole history of that goes way back when, and I have pictures and all kinds of information about that family and their coming to the United States. But the question is, this is the past with agriculture. Now we're looking at the present with agriculture. And if you look around, you do not see too many active farms around. And the reason for this is, as my friend Gordon Price in Boxford said, it's the economics. It is extraordinarily difficult to, in spite of all the crowds that we gather, it's extraordinarily difficult to make a living with agriculture at this point in time. And in a few years, 70% of the agricultural property in this country will change hands. The average age of a farmer is 65. There are 6 farmers who are over the age of 65 for each one that's under the age of 35. That's a pretty daunting number. And I was at a conference at MIT with the Deputy Secretary of Agriculture, and I said, don't you get it? I said, it's the economics and how are we going to survive? And she got the point. She got the point.
So the present farms in North Andover are very few that are working.
Right.
And the ones that are still in town have diversified into doing some CPA farming and trying to introduce people into that and growing their own food. There seems to be a growing interest in that, knowing where your food comes from and what you're putting into the soil.
Sure.
And how it affects your food, the taste, and
how
and your
fresh,
health.
and how fresh it is.
Yes.
How fresh it is. Yeah. Long gone are the days where you could grow monocrops of corn or just a few other crops. Those days have far gone away. And now we have got to be very diversified. I mean, believe me, my life would be a heck of a lot more simple if all I had to do was think about just a few crops, but it's not. I mean, I've got festivals, I've got animals, I've got pick your own, I've got CSAs, I've got ice cream, I've got a bakery, all these sorts of things. And it's a lot to handle. It's a lot to handle.
How do you see the future of a farm in North Andover, being able to maintain a farm life and to live on the land?
Well, one of the things about our farm is back in 1983, we encumbered our farm with a state's program called the APR, Agricultural Preservation Restriction Act. And what that does is the state buys your development rights, and you retain all the rest of the rights. You can sell it, you can gift it, you can leave it to your heirs, all that kind of stuff. And that was their first step in trying to kind of help farms survive. Now, great program, great thought. The problem is that they're finding that some of these farms that are APR farms aren't making it financially. So they came up with some other plans to kind of help you develop business plans to direct you in ways that will help you be more profitable. And the jury's out on that still.
I think that the people are becoming more interested in farms, in small farms, in trying to raise some chickens, possibly in a small shed in a backyard, have their own fresh eggs, teach their children how this is done, give them the chores that become part of how they live their lives, really. And how they take care of animals, and to teach them responsibility, and maybe even to sell a few extra eggs.
Sure. One of the things that was always kind of interesting to me is that the further we become more urbanized, the further children are away from the source of their food. I'll give you an example of that. We have quite an education program out there, and a group came in from Jamaica Plain. And one of the teachers came up to me afterwards, and he said, "Farmer Smolak, where are the strawberry trees?" And you and I know there's no such thing as a strawberry tree. And I'm sort of thinking, well, how do you deal with this, Michael? Well, what I said is that they were out of season. So I just skirted the whole thing, because I wasn't going to correct him in front of his kids, because that wasn't right. So we'll see how that goes. But in terms of the present, this is what we and so many of my contemporaries are doing. We've gotten into very, very diversified types of businesses, and I have to say it's really hard work, and I don't know how profitable is it. I don't know. I make it look good, but I don't know how really profitable it is. And never mind estate planning, never mind passing your land on, never mind who's gonna run this farm after I'm dead and gone and buried and spread someplace. I don't know, and it's nothing that a lot of us don't think about, because the graying of I right now at 61 years old am at the average age of a farmer in the United States. And I think that's daunting.
I think that it's a very good life. And when you grow up that way, you really appreciate, you get to know nature very well and very closely. And it gets to be part of your daily life, to notice it, everything about it, and to notice the land, and how the mist settles in the hill, and how the birds fly across it.
The beauty of it all.
And the beauty of it all. And it changes all during the day, and the light. And it just becomes part of you.
Well, and part of what we are dealing with this farm legacy project is to capture those things while they're still here.
Yes.
While some of these people are still alive, frankly, because they're getting a little up there. And we've had one casualty in one of the oral histories, and boy, I'll tell you, almost makes me a little bit weepy, because that was one of the nicest few hours I've ever spent in my life.
Yes, it was beautiful.
And beyond what it did for me, what does it do for this person who has an ability to share stories? She told me stories about my father that I never knew existed. What better? So what we're looking for now, we're looking to expand this. We're looking to gather as much information from farm families, non-farm families, photos, papers, anything and everything that has to do with agriculture. Of course, we still have a little mileage to go to figure out exactly what we're going to do with all this stuff, but there's nothing like it anywhere around here in the country. And I think it's extraordinarily important work, because once it's gone, it's gone. I think about interviewing Georgian Dot Barker, And the one thing about life that's certain is that we're not going to be here forever. But can you imagine 2 or 3 generations from now, them pulling out these DVDs and seeing their grandparents come to life, seeing how they met each other, seeing what their favorite places on the farm was, what was most important to them? That stuff's precious. And that stuff's all been lost in the past. This time it won't be lost.
It won't be lost, and it reconnects all of us, because years ago we were all so busy working on the farm and trying to make it work and make ends meet that we never really had time to interact with each other very often.
No.
And now we find that we did each know each other, know our parents, knew other parents, and it's very precious for our generation to hear those stories as well.
Sure, sure. Well, suffice it to say that all the farm families around here knew each other. And I would also say, by and large, they all had tremendous respect for each other. I mean, I have memories of cutting logs and bringing them down to Farnham Sawmill to build our buildings. I have memories of delivering produce to the Burke's fruit and vegetable stand on where there's a real estate office now, up and down Common Street back when, where the Yamines, who owned Butcher Boy, were back there, or Giaffrida's, who owned Hilltop Steakhouse, or my part of North Andover was very close to the Boxford end of things, and I'm just very, very lucky that I have those memories.
Yes, I feel the same way. I feel that the memories are really stored. I've never had a lot of time or much chance to really bring them to the surface before and collect them and put them in an organized fashion and speak to other people about it. And now that we're doing that and we've started this project, it's become very important to involve everyone that has any information that they want to share with us, any newspaper articles that they've saved over the years, any photographs, any knowledge at all of the farms and the families. We would love to talk to people at the Historical Society, and to please contact us anytime. We'd be happy to get back to you and talk to you.
And also, too, along with that is identification of these different pieces of material. Who is in this picture? Are they related? Those sorts of things.
Yes, we have to label everything.
So, coming to conclusion about this, I think it's vitally important that people get in touch with Historical Society. I'm sure that their website is on the bottom of this production that we're doing right now, and have them get in touch, find out where they can do things with, what they can do with these photos.
Yes, we will. We have, as we have started this project and we continue with it, we're more and more excited about meeting people and collecting their information. It's become very exciting for all of us involved.
And rewarding.
Yes.
Well, I think I'd like to thank NACAM for having us here to give us the opportunity to be able to spread the word about what we're doing, and hopefully some of this stuff will start coming back.
Yes, we look forward to hearing from everyone that has any information to share with us.